Hi everybody, this is Carla Dalton, and I had a few people ask for me to make a video on how to make these digital interactive notebooks, and so I wanted to just put something real quick together to kind of show you how you can set one up for yourself. But then at the end of this video I will share how you can get a copy of my template, and then you can also email me if you have any questions. Alright, so let's start. First of all, this is made in Google Slides, so depending on how familiar you are with that product, I do offer some Zoom sessions to help walk you through this as well. This is just going to be just a real brief tutorial, so you can always email me if you want to set something like that up. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up my Google Slides presentation to be in the format that I would like for it to look like a notebook. So of course they just, you can get just a standard screen, but because I want it to look like a notebook, I want it to be 17 by 11 inches. That way, it looks like a regular 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, but then when you open up the notebook, of course, that 8.5 gets doubled, so it'd be 17 by 11. So that's the first thing you're going to do is click that setup. Okay, and while I'm talking about this, I want you to understand that there are two ways that you can put some slides together. This is what I'm going to call just presenter view. So like if you're making a presentation in Google Slides, these are just the slides that you would put in your presentation. However, if you click up here on slide and go down to edit master, this is where you'll want to create all of your slide templates, and it's the reason why you want to do it here is because whatever you make in the master view, most everything, so like 90% of what you make in master view cannot be moved in presentation view. And so when you share this with your students, there are some things that you don't want them to move or delete, like these pictures. I don't want them to move or delete these, so I'm going to create this in master view. Okay, so I'm gonna show you this. Now you kind of want to get your basic template made, so that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. I wanted to insert just a picture of a notebook. Okay, so let's go back up here, and I'm just going to take like my blank slide and show you how I created this. You can go to Insert, Image, and search the web. Okay, now whatever you are looking for, so if I'm looking for, let's say I'm gonna look for a notebook, obviously. Okay, so notebook, and then I want to make the background transparent, so I always will add the word transparent to whatever I'm looking for. Now, as I'm looking at these images, you might not find one that you exactly like, but like let's say that this one up here, this is pretty close to what I want my cover to be. So if I click this and insert it, brown is pretty boring, so maybe I want to change up this color to make it more personal. So once this gets added in here, I'm going to show you how to do that. It's taking a little while. It usually doesn't take this long. Alright, so here's my notebook. If you'll go up here to Format Options, this is how you can change that picture. Alright, so you can obviously resize it if you want to. You can flip it, so if it's facing the wrong direction, you can flip it, you can rotate it, all of that. Okay, but here is the recolor part right here. Okay, let's say I don't want a brown notebook. That's pretty boring. So I go down here and I say, oh, there's a turquoise one. That one's prettier. So then you can change the color of that notebook. And so that's what I did at first, just to get my cover. Okay. Something else that I'll recommend is this drop shadow. Drop shadow puts makes it look a little 3D, so you can change that distance and make it bolder, and it just makes it look a little bit 3D. So just remember that you can do that as well. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this so that I can see that. Now the next part that I wanted to make were the inside of my notebook. So I wanted to have these notebook pages. So you can see that these are two separate pieces. I just duplicated one and then flipped it and then pushed them together to make them look like a, like a real notebook. Again, I did the exact same thing. I went to Insert, Image, I searched the web for a notebook transparent, and I think I took this one right here, and then I inserted it, and you'll see that that looks like that, and you can just resize it as you want, and then duplicate it, of course, and then flip it, okay? All right, the tabs over here. So these tabs, move one of them. And let me change it to go to the front so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so these tabs are just a shape. Normally when you insert a shape, right, you can go Insert, Shape, and you've got these different options up here. I want it to look like a true, rounded tab. So I used this one right here. And you can see that now you can draw it. You can draw it as big as you want. You can change the color of it. Okay, and then you can change the font. You can make it whatever size you want. So then you can type, Unit 1. And then I can make it obviously a lot bigger. Okay, and then once I've got it to the size that I want, you just take this little circle up here and move it 90 degrees. Okay, and then to put it over here and make it look like a tab, what I did was I arranged it behind my notebook so that then that looks like a tab. Okay, so that is that. Go ahead and move this. I'll move that back in a little bit. Okay, the other thing, well, let me go ahead and turn this. The other thing that I wanted to point out to you is, okay, so after, let's say I put this back, and I'm a little finicky on the arranging. So, let's say now I've made all my tabs, and let's say, they're just kind of on top of each other. I can't get them spaced out right. What you can do is if you'll just get your arrow, drag it over all of them, it'll select all of them. Then you can go up here to Arrange, Distribute, and I'd want to distribute it vertically, and then it will, align better on my page and be more spread out. Okay, and you just kind of play with it to make it look the way you want. But doing this in master view, what that's going to do now is if I go back to my presentation view, so let's go there, you can see that like I can't drag these. Like I've got something over it, which I'll tell you about in just a minute, but I can't drag these. So it's going to keep my students from moving those tabs. Okay, so you're designing it in that master view so that it makes it real easy for your students to do. Okay, so let's go back to master view. And so all I did was I just kind of had a plan of how I wanted to make this notebook. I wanted to have a table of contents. So after you get that notebook page with your tabs all lined up and everything, so after I get this page done, then I would just duplicate this over and over again. So to do that, you just do right click, duplicate layout, and it creates another page for you. But that's how I'm making all of these. Okay, so on the table of contents, I just inserted a table. So insert table, you can make it as many columns and rows as you want. And then these little text boxes in here, let me talk to you a little bit about text box. So in master view, you actually have 4 different items for inserting a text box. You have just a regular text box, so that's what this is right here. This table of contents is just a text box that I typed into. Now, if I go to the presentation view, the text box cannot be moved. Okay, so whatever writing or typing you want on your page that you do not want the students to change, then you want to do it in just a text box. Okay, but these other options here are title, subtitle, and body text. Okay, that's what I put here. So you can see here, this says, if I enlarge it, I can show you that. See here what it says. Well, Google Slides is being kind of wonky today. It's going to freeze up on me. But basically what it says here is it says click to edit master subtitle style. So when I entered that, of course, this is going to freeze up on me. When I entered that, I entered it as a subtitle placeholder. Okay, so what that does is that creates placeholder text. Okay, so that's gonna enable my students to be able to type over it. Okay, so if I go back to the presentation view, if I go back to the presentation, sorry this is being so slow, you can see that now I can type over this. So whatever the content was on that slide, the students can type what they want and make it more personalized. Okay, now notice that because I moved the placeholder in master view, notice it moved up here. One thing about placeholder is you can still move it. Okay, like I can still move it right there, which is where it was, but what it does is it allows you to go ahead and put a box there that students are going to have to type into. Okay, so if you look down at, for example, I inserted my video that I make over this lesson. Okay, well, these are placeholders here that I have already formatted to be the font that I want and the size that I want and the color that I want, but now a student can now type in the vocabulary definition. Okay, so these are just little things that you can add to it. To add in the video, what I did was I just went to insert video, and then you have the option to go from your drive, or you can go to YouTube. You can even type in just a URL. Okay, and that allows the video to be played straight from your notebook. Okay, but they can also make it full screen as well if they don't want to watch it this tiny, which they probably will. A couple other things that I added in was I added a hyperlink that goes to my calendar. So my calendar that I give to all my students is hyperlinked with the assignments and the quizzes and everything that we're doing. So that's linked in there as well. And to do that, all you have to do is just click on the picture and then go to insert link, and then go straight to there. Okay. All right. The other thing I wanted to show you is these tabs. I have them set up to where, well, let me go to another page. I have them set up to where they are linked to go to the page that corresponds to that section. So for example, I'm in the relations and functions section, but if I want to go to domain and range, I can just click this and click what slide it links it to, and it'll go straight to that section. A couple of other things that are just kind of fun. See how I made the tab stick out when I'm on that section, just like it would in a real notebook. I also made the background match the color of the tabs, and that's just kind of something fun that I did. But these are linked. If